Again, with the thought here that most everyone is here to speak to the Jenkins proposal, Ruxton and all that. Is there anyone who wants to speak to a different topic? A general kind of a, okay, so we'll go ahead and, okay, so now we're on to the single topic here, the Jenkins proposal. Next, then I would call Isla Quinn. When something I forgot to mention, when you come up first, please give your name and address. Judy knew that because she's been here before. But okay, I did have a request. The second person to speak on this topic would be Linda Moreland. So Linda, I guess it's okay for you to sit there, but I will have their 3 minutes, then you'll have your 3 minutes.
Thank you. Yeah.
Isla Quinn, 357 Pilot Knob Avenue. These are my issues. We have intense traffic congestion, inadequate parking sites and transportation options, lack of focus on the needs and safety of the community residents, failing infrastructure, the sewer, water, roads, dead wood and debris on public and private lands, and EPA air quality standard failures throughout the city. My resolution suggestions: immediately begin formulating a plan for the construction of satellite parking areas and public transportation vehicles. Immediately initiate planning, funding, and implementation of infrastructure replacement. Budget funds to hire staff to facilitate removal of currently existing dead wood and brush from city and private property. Provide assistance to residents who cannot fund their own fire mitigation needs. Immediately cease funding for the study and alteration of Hiawatha Gardens, with the exception of installing a public restroom outside of the floodplain. These millions of dollars are desperately needed elsewhere. Land donation. I refer to the Norwood Development Jenkins proposal to trade approximately 18 acres on the Old Midland Railroad bed to the city of Manitou Springs for the city funded creation of a road and parking lot from the west end of Manitou Avenue to Upper Ruxton. I ask that council contact Norwood Development and express strong community support for the donation and an equally strong rejection of the road and parking lot. Developers do not demand roads to be built without a purpose. I have been a licensed realtor for 49 years, and never in my time in those years have I experienced a developer making a land transfer to a municipality with no benefit to the developer. I met with Chris Jenkins last week. I asked him directly what the benefit would be to his company. He would not answer. I asked why they were making completion of the road and parking lot condition of transfer. No answer. Their initial foray into selling this product was that the citizens were sent an intellectually insulting survey that the majority of citizens I have spoken with deleted from their messaging app. Upon receipt, this survey was followed by another manipulative communication sent to the mayor and, I quote, esteemed city council members. This letter is now publicly available. Mayor, I'm asking you, because it has been published that you have publicly deemed this land trade a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. I adamantly disagree with your assessment. A new road to Upper Ruxton, creating additional access and egress for the COG, would be catastrophic to the residents, not just those who live underneath of it. Hundreds more cars an hour, air pollution, noise pollution, light pollution. Zero benefit for the community. Huge gain for the
Isla, you're at 3 minutes. Okay, thank you.
I was finishing.
Okay, all righty.
She's allowed to finish. She's allowed to
She
wrap it
has
up.
finished. She has finished.
I'm done.
Okay. Well, Linda Moreland, 37 Minnehaha. I'm not quite as eloquent a speaker as Isla, so I am finishing what she wrote and adding a little bit at the end of my own. Numerous documented traffic studies have shown that traffic increases after the installation of new roads. The argument that an alternative road to the COG, incline, and bar trail parking lots will alleviate traffic and congestion is simply not true and has been proven to be incorrect again and again through well-researched studies. More roads bring more cars and the accompanying noise, pollution, and congestion. Pardon me. Our town is over capacity for both vehicles and people visiting. The majority of residents try to go to the grocery stores and needed destinations in the early morning hours if they can. I cannot get across the street. I have to get in line at the bottom of Minnehaha and wait sometimes 20 minutes to get to the Ruxton turnaround. So I'm one of those people. Lost my spot.
Okay.
Where is it? Sorry.
That's okay. I can't have my glasses on, dear. I can't help you.
Sorry, I lost my spot there. I just added my little 2 bits. So providing yet another access from Manitou Avenue to the tourist destinations at the end of Ruxton serves only to provide revenue enhancement for those attractions and open the west end of town to destructive development. None of these tourists are going to be coming through town, visiting shops and supporting our community. They will be jumping off the highway, coming down Serpentine, totally missing the shops and the restaurants that they would find if they were using shuttles from satellite parking lots. We need to find the means to preserve the precious land not yet developed. Once it is under concrete
And macadam.
and macadam, our town will lose forever any semblance of peace and livability. Our town is being crushed by overuse. Our aging infrastructure is crumbling. Our city open space is years behind in fire mitigation, as is our entire town. Private property and public property is covered in dead wood. And that needs to be a top priority in this town, not another road and more tourists. Our aging infrastructure, like I did that, hall does not. City open
Linda, you're at
space.
3 minutes. Please sum up.
Am I good enough?
You're good.
I'm good enough.
Okay, thank you.
Prioritize dead wood.
Right. Thank you. See, next, Mary Peniston. Mary Peniston, you'd be next.
My name is Mary Peniston. I live at 325 Pilot Knob
Yeah.
Avenue.
Oh, and Mary, and I'll mention this for everybody. With these microphones, you need to be have your mouth about 3 inches away from the microphone. So could you start over and then we won't
Yes.
start the clock till, go ahead, please.
My name is Mary Peniston. I live at 325 Pilot Knob Avenue. I've had a house here for 6 years. I had a business here from 1986 to 2000. That business is still going under the ownership of Farley McDonough, Adams Mountain Cafe. So I've been in town a long time and seen what has happened. I bought my home here hoping that I could live here for the rest of my life in this quiet, wonderful place. Having the Midland Road and a parking lot, another parking lot proposed is detrimental to everyone in the area. Wildlife, pollution, air quality is just so poor. And I support satellite parking outside of town, busing people to the area, making the area more of a walkable town. I think people would really appreciate that. It would upgrade everything in the town. And I would like City Council to pursue for the city of Manitou, the Trails and Open Space, this property that Jenkins has offered in trade, which is, we know, not going to happen for the citizens of Manitou. So please stand up for the common citizen in Manitou for the quality of life. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Scott Laura.
time,
No,
just share some of the concerns that have already been mentioned.
no, okay, Scott, could you come up here? Because this is being recorded. Yeah, and we need your name and address.
Scott Loria, 319 Ruxton Avenue. And I just share some of the concerns that have already been mentioned about the road that will be built by the town to service a parking lot and properties owned by the Jenkins. That's all.
Okay, thank you. Next, Robin, I think it's Barker. Yeah, go ahead. Kimberly, Delaharp, yeah, okay. You were next, so I guess it's not a big deal.
I want to start by thanking the council for the
Okay,
opportunity.
sorry, I need your name and
Oh,
address first,
sorry.
please.
Kimberly Delaharp, 385 Pilot Knob Avenue. First, I want to thank the committee for providing this opportunity for the public to speak. I just want to share with the council a different story from what we've been hearing about the Jenkins proposal. KRDO and others have reported that a survey commissioned by the Jenkins showed that 238 of 300 Manitou residents surveyed supported the donation of public space along with the building of a new access road. And that 161 of those residents surveyed said that including additional parking would make them more likely to support the donation and development of the land. As someone who took the survey, it is frustrating to see the survey talked about like it was an unbiased information gathering survey. It was not. The survey pushed one viewpoint, a road and a parking lot. As of this morning, 618 Manitou residents have signed a petition opposing the creation of a road on the old Midland Trail corridor and the development of a parking lot. Residents across all 3 Manitou wards. When the people in this room and others went out into our community and talked with our neighbors, the message was clear. They do not support the proposed road and parking lot. Please don't let a push survey commissioned by the Jenkins family misrepresent the views and values of our community. A road cutting through our neighborhood, a parking lot paving over more land do not align with our values. Manitou is more than just the incline and the cog. We are the world's first certified municipal pollinator district, committed to protecting and preserving vital pollinators and leading the way in sustainable community development. We are about protecting and preserving our natural resources, celebrating them with events like this Saturday's Waterfest. To quote the Manitou Cares campaign, which I love, we're working to keep our town vibrant, sustainable, and just weird enough for current and future generations. The proposed road and parking lot do not align with this vision. I applaud the Jenkins for wanting to donate the land, but if they really understand Manitou Springs and want what's best for our community, they should donate the land and let us make decisions that are consistent with our values. I'm happy to share any of this information with you, or you can go to our website, ruxtonfriends.com, to better understand what we support. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's see then, Robin Barker now. Okay.
Hello, my name is Robin Barker and I live at 398 Pilot
Can
Knob
you
Avenue.
can you speak a little closer to the mic?
Sure.
Okay. Can you all hear?
Is that better?
I think so.
My name is
Okay.
Robin Barker. I live at 398 Pilot Knob Avenue. And I'm kind of speaking to the petition, which is why I asked Kimberly to go first. So I went out and petitioned. I was a little nervous to do it in Crystal Hills because it always seems kind of like there's a little bit of a separation. And I thought it would be a good time to, I don't know, I think we all need to be brought together on each other's ideas and to help each other with our problems. I was shocked. I was nervous to go over there and I was shocked at the positive outcome that I had. I unfortunately, due to injury, didn't get to spend as much time as I wanted to over there. But I walked one street and I got everybody's signature. I walked up to some of the homes, they had already heard about it, and they were like, yes, please, where can I sign? So I just wanted to say, on top of the 600 plus signatures that we have, I can guarantee if I went over there and had 4 days to spend, I could at least add another 100 onto that. So I also wanted to speak a little bit to the survey itself, and I'll try to be as brief as I can because I know that you all have heard a lot about it. 300 people is not a fair representation of this city. We have 3,809 registered voters in the last election. The questions were geared to elicit the responses that the Jenkins wanted. Only 7.8% of the voting population was surveyed. For example, on the question of shall the city of Colorado Springs accept a donation for 15 acres? Their response, according to them, was 78.5% were in favor. So if you take the numbers and you do them properly based on the registered voters for an election, it comes out to be 6.2%. So that's quite a bit of a difference. And for somebody who is going to live directly below this parking lot, and road, if it gets put into place, it's catastrophic. We can't even get curbs on the streets that we have in front of us. And, you know, our roads are falling apart. Our infrastructure is falling apart. Please take care of your citizens. Don't take care of the Jenkins.
Okay, thank you. Next, Jeff Berry.
Hi, I'm Jeff Beery. I reside at 386 Pilot Knob Avenue. I'd like to take just a minute to acknowledge the generosity of the Jenkins family in offering to donate their property in Ruxton Canyon. This parcel of land in question is truly a beautiful and historic part of our local landscape, and the philanthropy of the Jenkins family, past and present, in Colorado Springs and Manitou really needs to be recognized and appreciated. With that said, I think it's really important to emphasize that the true essence of a gift is that the recipients are empowered to use that gift as best benefits the group, organization, or community that it is made to. Those receiving a donation become the stewards of that contribution, be it money, resources, real estate, legacy gifts. It's up to the recipients to leverage that gift to best serve the larger community in perpetuity and for generations to come. So I'd like to go on the record and ask the Jenkins family to make this donation, and then allow the community here in Colorado, in Manitou Springs, to provide the stewardship and the foresight in deciding how best to use it. I believe it's Manitou residents, the people who live and work here, that are best suited to make that decision. Decisions made by residents of Manitou will benefit our local businesses, our neighboring city of Colorado Springs, and all of the tourists who visit our region to experience the history and the beauty of this beautiful Pikes Peak region. I'd like to go on record also and request that all of the discussions and meetings about this incredible offer by the Jenkins family be transparent, that all the stakeholders in this proposal are identified and are clear in their interests and objectives. Executive meetings and closed-door discussions about this proposal are going to create an atmosphere of distrust and animosity, and that's going to be counterproductive. It's not going to benefit any of us. So that's all I wanted to say. Thanks for my time, and I hope that the dialogue can continue and that we can move forward with this proposal.
Great, thank you. Great. See, next, Ray Ferguson.
Ray Ferguson, 634 Ruxton Avenue. I concur with what everyone's saying tonight about this proposal. What David said about thanking the Jenkins. I thank him for the opportunity. And I look at it like the question right now is they talked about a road. I've heard parking. And as far as that goes, I feel that should be off the table as far as a road, any kind of parking. You get 150 spaces. I look at that as 200 to 300 people. That's 200 to 300 more people that are up there for the worst case scenario when we need to get out of there. I'm at the very end of the road. I fight the traffic for the COG and all the incline. I've been up there when there's been emergency vehicles trying to get up, trying to get out, and there is no place to go. We do not need any more cars up there, period. But as far as the Jenkins go, if they want to donate it, I think that'd be great. What a wonderful gift. Then we can decide what we're going to do with it. As far as the emergency road they talked about, you look at the old railroad bed, a couple loaders could go up there, flatten it out. It could be an emergency exit in an emergency, but not a daily use vehicle deal all the time. So that's pretty much what I wanted to say. Just right now, not in favor of parking lot. Thanks to Jenkins. Keep the conversation going and let's turn it into a positive thing for the city. Thanks.
Right. Thank you. Next, Mila Garel Isim. I'm sorry, I probably butchered your name. I apologize.
I am Mila Garel Essom. I live,
Can you get closer to the mic, please?
yeah, they're just pretty far from the table. I live at 372 Pilot Knob. I've lived there my whole life, pretty much, besides a few years where I lived over at 324 Spring Street. So I was born and raised here in Manitou, and before it was blocked off, I spent a lot of time up on that railroad bed riding horses and hiking, and it really changed who I am to have access to that nature. And now I study conservation up at CSU in Fort Collins. I'm just here for the summer right now, but this is a place that is obviously it's my home. And I think that we should allow the opportunity to experience nature for more people, like a road and a parking lot. No one really feels that good when they're hanging out in a parking lot. The rainwater's running off. There's no plants, which help us in so many ways. There's many bigger issues going on in our world, climate change being the biggest one. And we know that asphalt and not any like place for plants to grow is the opposite direction. And money isn't going to help us either if that's what the goal of this, if that is the benefit of the road and parking lot to the community, if that's money, because it's mostly benefiting the tourists, it seems to me. I really agree with what everyone here has said tonight, and some beautiful words have been said. I did not have the time to prepare as much as everyone else, so I thank you for this conversational opportunity. I just wanted to maybe inspire you all that we could set an example for the future. We don't have to keep going down the money-driven path of, well, it makes sense financially to have a donation with strings attached, which the donation would be so awesome. I agree again with what people have been saying about a donation, a gift, a true gift doesn't have these strings attached about what you should do with it. So I hope that maybe the Jenkins community could, maybe the Jenkins family is here listening to the community instead of using a bias survey to get numbers about what the community thinks. But maybe we could set an example of we could have nature and an open, it could be a place for people to go experience the beautiful hills, historic, very historic, instead of a road that tourists will drive on and probably not care very much about. So yeah. Maybe we could be a city that's really cool. That would be awesome for me in my future of wanting to have a place to live. So thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next, Steve, and I think it's M-A-L-L, or maybe that's an H, maybe it's Hall. Steve Mole, I'm sorry. Well, okay, my apologies.
Yeah, my name is Steve Mall. I live at 398 Pilot Knob. Yeah, I just would like to say that what everybody is talking about tonight is genuine. And I back them and support them and what they're talking about. I do hope the Jenkins are listening in tonight, maybe online or something, just to see how this goes. And if they are, I'd like to say that, I do need them to come by their property and take a look at some trees, because there's some dead trees and we're talking about fire mitigation. And I'd like to talk to them about cleaning it up. It's been an issue with Dave in the past. These trees have come down onto my property and he claims that they're on my property and not his property. So I need to get somebody from the Jenkins family over there to take a look at these, because these are some large elm trees that are dead and they keep dropping branches as elm trees do. So when we are talking about fire mitigation, stuff like that, I'd like to resolve that issue with them at some point in the near future. So that's all I have.
Okay, great. Thank you. See, next, Ken Juray. Ken.
I don't know which is harder, being on this side of the table or that side of the table.
Both sides of the table. So.
Thank you for you all being on that side of the table. I do know what that means. My name is Ken Juray and I live at 304 Michigan Avenue. I appreciate your time. I am sorry that the Jenkins decided not to provide any information to the public tonight. It really would have been great to know what they were thinking about doing with the property, and likely at some point including the Walton property in this discussion. I'll talk about how we can achieve what many believe to be a very positive outcome for the Jenkins family, the city, the immediate neighbors, and the entire region. I was very pleased at our first neighborhood meeting that there was a strong consensus that our efforts should be about how we can be helpful to create a positive outcome rather than just say no campaign. Clearly, we are suggesting that the city council just say no to the road and parking lot ideas, but we'd like to go further. Unfortunately, those of us who live nearby and many in the community don't relish spending the next year or two worrying about our neighborhood being so drastically impacted by hundreds of cars a day and a large parking lot. I have two recommended actions. First, we'd like to ask our mayor to form a working committee of staff, council, and residents to investigate various aspects of how we can either obtain an open space donation or purchase the property. We need you, Mr. Mayor, and our members of City Council to take the lead to make this happen. Others, including myself, and I know many of my neighbors, are more than willing to help and do have extensive expertise to bring to the table, including funding opportunities. At this point, it might also be helpful to schedule a work session in the near future where the community can come together and the council can come together to flush out these ideas. We did want to let you know that we are planning, the group of neighbors now known as Friends of Ruxton, or a revised Friends of Ruxton Canyon, are planning to present to the OSAC meeting on July 22nd, a resolution in support of purchasing or obtaining by donation both the Jenkins and Walton property. For me personally, walking on the Susie and Dave Jenkins open space would bring back fond memories of going down there to feed the horses, of walking on that trail for an easy evening hike, and even hearing Chris and his brothers ride their dirt bikes along the trail. Okay, maybe that wasn't so good at the time, but it will bring back memories. I do agree with the mayor that it'll be a once in a lifetime opportunity, potentially both positive and negative. We could either preserve this property for our children and grandchildren in perpetuity, or we could put a road and parking lot in there and significantly negatively impact the neighborhood and community. I know that all of my neighbors, and I believe most of the community, would certainly prefer the open space option. It would be great, Mr. Mayor, if someone might be able to get back with us to let us know how you feel about these ideas. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Great. And I'd like to compliment the audience. I mean, people have been really good about sticking to 3 minutes. A lot of you have finished in less time. I think we're having a lot of good ideas out here, or a lot, a lot of commentary. Good. Let's see, Vicki Greger. Vicki, you'd like to be next?
Hi, my name is Vicky Greger and I live at 25 Waltham Ave, Manitou Springs, Colorado, 80829. So many great points have been made. There's really nothing I can add to that, talking about wildlife, talking about pollinators, talking about legacy, talking about everything that all of us right now are holding into our hearts. And that is Manitou Springs and what it means to us and how we hold it, whether we've just moved here. I've been here since 1982. My life partner, Connie Brochtenbach, and I bought our house in 92. Our children were born in our home on our street. My oldest daughter had her child on Waltham Avenue. And it's the kind of town that asks for that. It's the kind of town that challenges any city council that has sat to balance development with beauty. But I really encourage you, and this is warm and fuzzy and friend and neighbor, I'm going to go there, that you hold Manitou in your head and heart and really strike that balance in your mind of what makes it work and why somebody would come here and how to keep it going in perpetuity, because this is a gem. And for those of us who travel a lot, it's a gem, and we all know it is. And I think all we're commenting on is, please, let's bring some thought and heart to decisions made around the Jenkins donation. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's see. Next, Paula Hill.
Hello, I'm Paula Hill. My address is 85 Crystal Park Road. So I wanted to just talk about.
Paula, if you could get a little closer to the microphone there, I think we'll, yeah, that
I
would.
feel like I'm shouting. So I just wanted to talk about the survey. So I opened the survey on my phone. It was coming from an unknown person. And I got excited because I moved here about a year ago and I thought, oh, great, a way to contribute my voice to this community. And I sent it because I didn't have time to take the survey to a lot of people. So once I did take the survey, I was, I speak English. I have a cell phone. I'm pretty smart. And I just felt like I was getting into the mud. I didn't understand what the questions were. They seemed to repeat themselves. I felt like I was filling out a ballot without filling out a ballot. I don't know. And then when I found out, what this actually was, when people started talking about it in the community, I felt very deceived. I felt very disheartened. And I felt like this was another political move without transparency. So I don't know about the Jenkins family. I've not been here very long, but I just kind of wonder, what else are they hiding? Or what is this community hiding from people who don't know what's going on? So, to me, it was an embarrassment. I had to tell everyone that had taken the survey, I'm sorry, this was disinformation and misinformation. And I feel really badly about it. So thank you for your time.
Right, thank you. Next, Bill Kerner. Bill, oh, there, okay, there you are.
Well, first, I want to thank council for really having this meeting.
Sorry,
tonight.
Bill, name, address, and 3 inches from the.
Oh,
mic,
yeah.
And then you're on.
Bill Kerner, 205 Ruxton, Manitou Springs. There is an opportunity, and I think a good one, but it's going to depend on the goodness of the Jenkins. And but let me just jump back a little bit and go back to the old years when I used to hike through the Jenkins property up Rattlesnake Gulch and all of that, and the old Wagon Road, and all these places that today's people in Manitou Springs who live here don't even know about it because they're not able to access it. And so I was pretty appalled a few years ago when they put up a big fence right behind the house that I owned at the time at 364 Ruxton Avenue. And it was a very substantial fence. And then I did some scouting and I said, oh my gosh, the gate's all blocked. Everything's blocked off. So I think maybe that was part of the Jenkins strategy, but I think we can get beyond that. A concern that I've got, and having been on council and taking a term as mayor, one of the things that we've worked very hard on is to address the congestion issues on Ruxton. The shuttle is an outcome of that. The parking lot at Hiawatha Gardens is part of that. The search for additional parking spots back out east, that continues to go on. And I think overall, the shuttle has really worked. And I can see us, if we don't take action and move forward, we're going to lose all that years of work and money and investment and people's time. And we need to honor that. We need to move forward with keeping the shuttle, maintaining the best way to get up the canyon, and eliminating all the traffic congestion on Ruxton and associated. If we have a big forest fire, it's going to make, and we came really close with the Waldo Canyon fire. I watched it out of my living room window in 2012. So I think we need to work with the Jenkins to have them donate it to the city. And I really had some questions on the map that was in the paper because it just didn't make any sense to me. And I'll leave you a copy of my notes, but it looks like this. And I think it's something that I think we can make work, but it's clear that the Jenkins
Bill, can you sum up, please?
approach is concerning to me, that they will work with us on this. So I'll leave this with you.
Okay, thanks, Bill.
I'm absolutely opposed to the road, no parking lot, open space and trails.
Okay. Bill, if you have something you want to leave for us, if you just give it to Mr. Cheney for now, that'd be good. Next, Sharon Haas. Either one you want.
My
And
name
actually,
is
Sharon, come to think, could you turn the other one off there, please? See, they're both good. They tend to interfere with each other sometimes. Just the center button there.
Smart enough.
Well, it's tricked us all.
Oh,
Sorry, we'll be able to hear you a little better now.
all
Okay.
right. Well, thank you. Well, I'm not going to have a lot to say because
Oh,
speakers.
Sorry, but get your name and
preceding me-
address.
Oh, I'm sorry. Sharon Haas, 205 Mesa Avenue. I don't have a lot to add. So many of the speakers have said exactly what I feel. I have, one thought just crossed my mind as I was sitting here, and it's sometimes we're a disposable society. Manitou is a gem. And when people are wanting to go ahead and put in a big parking lot and a road, we're losing more of our natural beauty, which we have. We're encroaching on the property of in the areas of our animals. We already move in way too much. And, but other than that, I hope that we can find a way to work hand in hand with the Jenkins to find positive ways to find a good outcome to what we're dealing with right now. I did invite people to drive up in our neighborhood just to see what it is, how we can handle no more traffic. We have no curbing. We use the road as our walkways. And I can't see how somewhere there won't be a egress down in the areas that can tolerate no more. So thank you very much. I hope we can find a way to work hand in hand and make this work out to the benefit of all of us. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next, Sherry Carl.
Hi, Sherry Carly, 328 Spring Street. I want to wholeheartedly echo and support the perspectives shared today. I had notes, but they were all covered, although they did prompt some additional thought. Anyway, I'm in strong opposition to this development. It would directly impact myself, my home, my neighbors, and my desire to live here, frankly. Anyway, I think Bill said it well. No road, no parking lot, open space, trails. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Steve Saruto. Oh, I'm probably mispronouncing that. 349 Pilot Knob. Steve. Sarutto. No, there's a gentleman waiting out in the audience. Okay, I guess not. I'll set that aside. If he shows up, we'll take it. Next then, Megan Day.
Hi, folks. Megan Day, 12 Capitol Hill Avenue in Manitou. Thank you for your time today. So Manitou Springs has something in common, a very key characteristic in common with Paradise, California. Paradise, California was where devastating fire occurred not too long ago, and 85 people were killed, many of whom were in their vehicles trying to evacuate. But there are, and this is our key characteristic we have in common, 4 exit points out of Paradise, California. Same with Manitou. We have 4 roads that we can exit as downtown residents, workers, and visitors if there is a devastating fire, much like there was in Paradise, California. And building a road and 160 parking spaces is going to bring 160 more vehicles that need to evacuate and put our lives in danger if we are forced to evacuate in short order. We are charged as a city, as a planning commission, et cetera, with protecting the health, safety, and welfare of our community. And adding 160 more vehicles to try to evacuate in those 4 roads might narrow down to 3 if we cannot evacuate up the pass, if the fire is coming from up the pass. That is really putting us in danger and violating and threatening our health and safety as a community. So I ask you to outright oppose any proposal to build more parking and bringing more vehicles into our community. That's not to say we can't have more visitors through satellite parking and shuttles. That's absolutely fine. But that means we'll get 1 bus to take those people out of town in an emergency rather than clogging up our roads. There's another risk to our safety with this road, and that it will be right along that wildlife fire interface, right? And so having visitors and 1 carelessly tossed cigarette goes right into that wildland interface and steep hills, which just has the highest fire risk. And so that means that 1 cigarette from the many visitors that will come through there who may not know any better and the risk that we are in could burn down our town and cause that rapid fire evacuation and the additional need to evacuate 160 more vehicles out of our already threatened and dangerous situation. So please oppose the road and the parking. Thanks.
Okay, that was the last of the forms that got turned in, but if there's anybody who hasn't spoken and who would like to, then you would certainly have the opportunity to do so. Yes, the person with the hand there.
Robin Kovats, 34 Washington Avenue. And I have a proposal that if Jenkins were amenable to donate the property, and if it was more for an evacuation route for the residents, that if it were turned over to open space, that we could leave that property so that a dirt road and a trail wide enough for cars, if they needed to evacuate, then people on Ruxton, Pilot Knob can go that direction out on the trail and exit in an emergency. But usually it would be open space and a trail. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Yes, sir, with your gentleman with his hand raised.
Peter Summers, 724 Duclos Avenue. I really liked that idea of the previous presenter. I was similarly thinking something that should the fire department need to open up an access road, a paved trail or something like that, again, for potential wildlife trail kind of stuff over there, that open space would be beneficial. Something that the fire department itself can drop a bollard or something to let cars through, I think would be an awesome idea for that. But I'm fully opposed to the parking lot and road to benefit the cog railway as its primary purpose would end up being, and the Manitou Incline. I think that public transportation from a satellite parking lots into the Manitou Incline, cog railway kind of thing is the way to go. I applaud your purchasing of the car wash that I didn't know was a car wash. I've ever only known it be a parking lot, but the also Dillon Motel property, I really think that that's a good investment from the city into public transportation. I don't know how many times I've been one of the bus route 36 folks that have been ticked off as they've saw me board, but I've really been enjoying that also during the summer months here. I, as a separate issue, would implore city council and the transportation and public services department to include all other alternative bus routes in Manitou, and to like further getting to the Safeway or the grocery store and other things like that, diversifying the bus routes in town, not just from Hiawatha to Incline and back kind of thing, but have more diverse routes through the city, I think would be a good investment for city funds. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, and Steve Saruto, I'm sorry. Steve, I don't know if I pronounced your name right, but when you take the mic, you'll give us your name and address, so we'll get it right then.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, you got it right. It's Steve Saruto, 349 Pilot Knob Avenue, 80829. I've been a resident homeowner here for 50 years, and in the process of taking care of elderly parents as they declined, I had to drive a taxi in New York City for a number of years, Midtown Manhattan. You've reached the level of traffic here of Midtown Manhattan on a normal commute day. Additional cars, by the way, I work for the COG. I park 600 cars.
Speak into the microphone, please, sir.
Yeah. I work for the Cog Railroad, and I've been there several years. We park about 600 cars a day. I walk a little black dog around town. The whole town knows who I am. And we're dodging vehicles. We can't get across the street safely. Yeah, and, I try and defer to people. I'm a capitalist. I want to see people make money, but our quality of life is all we have ultimately. And it's changed so radically, it's almost unrecognizable. I don't know what the tipping point is, the balance point, but environmental concerns with pollutants, et cetera. I know we're in violation of federal standards and have been for years. So adding more to this doesn't make sense. And by the way, I have an easement next to my property. The city of Manitou is welcome to park a fire engine outside my door anytime. They could leave it there as far as I'm concerned. They're right there, right where they need to be, okay? That's an open offer to the city, for the neighbors, for all of us, for our sanity. I don't think I could add anything more to it. I've heard an enormous amount of, I think, constructive comments. Thanks for letting me take a second.
All right, thank you. Anyone else want to talk? I think no, I'm sorry, sir, you get one opportunity. So, sorry, the lady behind you though, Colleen?
Thank you. My name is Colleen Johnson. I live at 616 Ruxton Avenue. I've lived there for 21 or 22 years, lived in Manitou for 27. It's come to my attention that Mayor Graham is the third mayor that the Jenkins have had conversations with. So this is not a new topic in our community. I applaud the neighbors that got together. I said last summer at a meeting at the MAC about the campground on the Walton land that, gosh, I really wish that people would have stood with our neighborhood when we needed help. And that was part of the reason I went to that meeting. And it's part of the reason I'm here today. Sorry, Ken Dre, but I'm pretty sure Rick Johnson was also on a dirt bike with Chris, Chad, and Mark Jenkins, along with Michael Solik back in their middle school hoodlum days. What I would say is, and maybe I've spent too much time looking at educational state data in the last 2 weeks, but we have a root cause. And that root cause is the wild abandon that is the incline. I have been to city council as our neighborhood was at city council 10 years ago, quoting the Sierra Club's Loving the West to Death article. And I will tell you, we have escape routes in our little Engelman Canyon, which is, by the way, what it's called. In Engelman Canyon, my children have known it since they were about 5, how to get out if the fire is coming up the canyon and how to get out if the fire is coming down the canyon. Megan Day is right. It's terrifying. It was terrifying this weekend when we had 105-degree weather and sustainable winds. It is terrible at 4 a.m. when people are doing the incline and cigarette butts are everywhere. It's terrifying when buses unload hundreds of people for the COG and the incline every day. It's terrifying year-round now. Those of you that don't know, the COG didn't always run trains year-round, but they do now. I also know that we are 3 motel hotels less on the avenue, which is less tax dollars for our city, and it's less tax dollars for our school district, but those are pros and cons, and you weigh the fiscal impact. The hope is that people will park out of town, but I'll tell you, if you think a Metro bus going up and down Ruxton 100 times a day is a less carbon footprint, I beg to differ. It is not, and someone is going to get killed by a Metro bus. So we have big issues. The root cause is the incline, and we better start there.
Thank you. Anyone else want to talk? Anyone feel like you want to speak? This is a good time for it. Okay. Okay, gentlemen.
My name is Sean Thomas Gill. I live at 141 Spencer. I've only lived here in town for about 5 years. And like some of you have said, like I came here for a reason. It was clean water, it was clean air, and it was nice people. An additional parking lot sounds like a paradox. I'm literally sitting here talking to a city council about not paving Paradise. That doesn't make any sense. I have noticed that, as someone else mentioned, we're down a few hotels. Why aren't they available for parking, since we already have shuttles that drive right past them? That seems like a better use of the money, since it would be incredibly cheap for the city to do that, leverage more parking payments for tax dollars, since they're, and the parking is pretty expensive here now anyway. In addition to that, I don't know anything about the Jenkins, but it seems like they're dangling a carrot and they want y'all to be the mule. That doesn't sound right. Thanks. Bye.
Okay. Okay. All right. Anyone else? Okay. If there's no one else, we're going to go ahead and proceed on with the meeting. But I want to thank you all for coming down, spending your time with us. Speaking, I think it was nicely done. You guys should all get a lot of credit for coming up, being articulate, being brief, and I think giving us certainly giving us a clear idea of your intents and your desires, and we had some fresh ideas too. So thank you. We'll just kind of hold off here, moving into our next thing if people want to get up and move about. Actually, the rest of the meeting is not very long. If you'd like to stay, we'll be done pretty quickly. I'd like to go ahead and continue with the rest of the meeting. Okay. Next item is our consent calendar. We have two items on the consent calendar this evening. The first is approval of the July 9th, 2024 City Council regular meeting minutes. And the second item is the presentation of warrants. Council, we can take anything off if a council member would like to discuss it. If not, I'd seek a motion to approve and accept.
Mr. Mayor, I move we approve.
Okay,
Second.
We have a motion by Councilman Shada, second by Mayor Pro Tem. No discussion. Let's do a just show of hands here, voice vote. All in favor, say aye. Okay, motion passes unanimously. Our single item of business tonight is the second reading and public hearing of ordinance number 0624, an ordinance amending the budget for fiscal year 2024. For that, we have our finance director, Becca Davis. And council heard this, it was actually last week during first hearing. Beck, if you have anything fresh to add, that would be okay. If not, if you don't have any, go ahead.
Right. I was just going to say that this was approved at first reading last week on the 9th, and there are no changes to the document that was presented that night. So it's just being brought before you for the second reading and a public hearing. And I am available to answer any questions that you might have.
Great, thank you. If council has any questions or comments? Okay, so if not, we will go ahead on, thank you. We'll go to the public hearing. So I will open the public hearing now. Anyone who would like to comment on this matter is welcome to come up and do so. Would anyone like to comment on the mid-year budget amendment? Okay, apparently not. It's not one of our more exciting topics. But I will happily say that we have close to $1 million more than we expected to have at this point. So congratulations, city staff, for watching that. Council, if there are no additional comments or questions, I'd seek a motion to approve.
I move approval.
Second.
Okay, motion moved by Councilman Shada, seconded by Councilor Weatherholt. Any further discussion? If not, let's vote. Voice vote. All in favor? Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great. Okay, good job. Now we just need to get that audit knocked out. Sorry to mention that to you, Becca, but we'll get it done. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, receive or act on council correspondence. Anybody have anything? Guess not. City administrators report.
Yeah, just a couple items. And I don't know if this was brought up by Denise, but Rubicon will be coming out the end of August to do some fire mitigation. Plans are the Bluff Road in that back area behind Pilot Knob is one of the areas we're going to focus on. And then use them in other areas by the reservoir and anything else we can find that's heavy duty for them to do. So that's number one. If you haven't noticed, the town clock has been painted now. And so we're putting in the water containers on, and then hoping by the end of the week or next week, we'll have the water running. And so it should be completely done and have some water running out of them. And then finally, the EV chargers at Shriver Park are working, but we have found they're only doing like 6 kilowatts per hour. So we're trying to figure out why we can't get the 7 to 18 kilowatts per hour for a level 2. So that's still be working out with ChargePoint. That's all I have. Thank you.
Roy, I did have a question. Crystal Park Road, I know we had a lot of traffic complaints there. I think you or the police chief or both of you were kind of working on something there. Could you just refresh my memory?
Crystal Park Road, we are looking, the chief is looking at the cameras, I guess, speed cameras. And so we're looking at that still, doing some investigating on how that works from other cities. So we're looking at doing that. We also have several speed tables coming in that we can place in certain areas. So we're identifying the areas that have on CPR, probably Crystal Hills Boulevard, maybe Becker's right now as a pilot, and see how those speed tables work to see if they control speeds around town. And if they work, we can look at utilizing them in a few other areas as well.
Could you, for those of us who don't know, could you elaborate on what a speed table is?
Yeah, it's basically it's not a speed hump or bump. Those are, hit those, and no one likes to hit those. A speed table is designed to allow the speed, if you're going the correct speed, to hit it at that not have that jolt. But if you go over the speed limit, you'll feel the bump. So it reminds people to slow down or at least go to speed limit. And these will be removable, so we can try them out, see how they work out, and possibly even change them to other areas. If it's if one area calms down, we might be able to move it to another area in town and try to get the speeds to come down in those areas as well.
Okay, great. Thank you. Oh, and something to me just occurred to me. I think there's a blood drive in here tomorrow. Does that ring a
Correct.
bell?
Yep.
Natalie, okay. Natalie, you're probably on top of that. Do you have? Okay, great. So it's tomorrow, it's here. Was it like 10 to 2, something like that? Okay, so anybody who's interested to be a blood drive in here, that's Vitalant. They do this periodically, so that's good to know. Okay, if there's nothing else, I'd seek a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Let's do a voice vote. All in favor, say aye. Okay, great. Thank you. Adjourned at